What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back. It is Wednesday, December 15th, episode 36 of the Sicko Sports Podcast. Thank you guys again for being back with me. If you have not already done it, please right now, this instant, like, subscribe, hit the alert button. Make sure you guys get caught up to everything. If you listen on Spotify, all the backlogs episode will be uploaded, I would say Friday, probably Friday midday, maybe even Thursday night. I know I'm falling behind on a couple episodes. Episode 36 obviously is where we're at right now on YouTube. You'll have everything on YouTube there. But in Spotify, I think I'm up to episode 31. So I have a few episodes to go back and track. I still have to edit those and cut those. I edit them differently for Spotify than YouTube. Obviously, audio and video doesn't translate as well. At least not the way it's used to. I could just upload the audio from here straight onto Spotify, but you guys know me, man. I want to try to put my best foot forward. I always want to give it my best when I do something, or at least the best to my abilities, right? This isn't the greatest thing in the world. I'm still working on it, man. The edits, some things will look amateur at times, but it's little by little, right? If I go back and listen to my early stuff, the sound quality was not great. You can see I was having issues with the editing. I was figuring that out, and now I feel like the sound quality is getting caught up to speed, man. You listen to this, you listen to some of the big dogs, the big, podcasts out there, and the sound quality, it can match. Maybe not as great. Some of these sound engineers and stuff they have working on it are amazing. But I'm working my butt off, man. I'm trying to do this. Same thing goes with the video. I'm trying to get better setups, better things, trying to get different camera setups and I want to get different angles and different shots and different backgrounds and things of that nature. But because of that, I don't put out nonsense. Like if it's terrible, I just won't do it, which is why I took a little bit of time off before. I think like after episode 26 or 27, I was gone for a little while, then came back. But that's because I took time to build a better setup. I took time to learn how to edit videos better, what really changes the picture, what gives me a better resolution, what gives me better things. And that's what I want to do, is just take the time. So that's why on Spotify, I'm a little bit behind. Bear with me. I will get those adjusted. I've already been working on them. So it's really just uploading a lot of them to be on Spotify. That way, if you're tired of watching this ugly mug, you can just listen to it on Spotify. You don't have to worry about it. So those will be up at the very latest Friday evening. Those will be all up to date and back on track. Other than that, man, it's been a good week. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. It gets boring. Some of the headlines I've been seeing across sports, especially in the NFL, it seems like midweek you start getting the baloney. Like you start getting those headlines where you have to play almost true or false. Like, what are the odds that these things are accurate, and what are the odds that they're complete bullshit? Because when you get to Wednesday, it's like, all right, the storylines, right, the overreactions from Mondays are already starting to fizzle out. We don't really know what's happened. We're not close enough to the games, right? It's not Friday yet, so we don't have a full injury report. We don't fully know who's in or out. We're not really diving into the previews yet, so it's a lot of nonsense on some of these storylines that I see. I saw one that said, should Micah Parsons play running back? If this is what we're doing on these big networks, if this is where we're getting to, it's like, okay, that is a clear sign that it is Wednesday AF. You know what I mean? It is as Wednesday as it can be. But I have a lot of stuff going on in here. My son is going to be on vacation come Friday. And I don't know if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. But, they send you out a letter, they send you out kind of like a newsletter, and they're like, hey, last days till Friday. They don't go back to school till January 4th. So they're like, hey, if you want to bring treats, bring snacks, you're more than welcome to. And I'm like, why not, man? Heck yeah. You know what I mean? I'll send some snacks over there so they can have fun. They're going to have a pajama party, eat some food, watch the Grinch, all that good stuff at school. So I'm like, heck yeah, I'll send some snacks. Then she's like, there's 25 students in the class. I'm like, 25? 25? Aren't we in a pandemic? Why 25 students I gotta feed? I gotta get treats for 25 of those little bastards? Anyway, so here we go. Got to get some stuff in. It's Wednesday. Hopefully the stuff comes in tomorrow. Hopefully I could bag them up and get them on to Friday. And then we have a party to go to. It's at a park by his school that they're going to put together. So his school does a lot of really cool stuff for him, and he enjoys the hell out of it, man. My son is going. I'm not going to say I'm worried, but I'm starting to realize that like maybe athletics, maybe sports is not his journey, but he is heavily invested in school. When I say sports isn't his journey, he's 5. We don't. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I've played catch with a lot of 5-year-olds. My nephews and stuff. My son can't catch a damn cold. My son can't catch. He's so uncoordinated, man. I'm like, how are you, my son? But very, very smart kid. He loves school so much. He's so into it. So I'm cool with it, man. Give me that nerd. Give me that Elon Musk. Give me that. Give me that Jeff Bezos. I'll take it all day. I don't need him to be an athlete. I just need him to be happy and love school, and that's what he's doing. So can't wait for those extracurricular events. Those after school events. He loves them to death. But yeah, man, to stay on the topic of feel, we're gonna go to a feel good, then a not so feel good story, right? Good publicity, bad publicity, right? Good stuff. Steph Curry breaks the NBA record for 3-pointers made in a career. Congratulations to Steph Curry. Reggie Miller was calling the game. Ray Allen was in attendance. He had a moment. He got teared up. He started choking up, man. He got emotional. You can see the hard work he's put in. You can tell that this dude it wasn't just a gift from God. Yes, to be that talented, you have to be blessed with a gift. I just talked about my 5-year-old. It don't look like he got that gift, but you have to be blessed from God with those abilities. But that's not it. You have to put in an extreme amount of work, and to see how emotional he got, to see how much this record means to him, you can tell it's because he's reflecting on all that hard work. And shout out to, I believe it was TNT that it was on. I don't know if it was ESPN or TNT that it was on, but they had a commercial queued up, right? He hits the record breaker, right? Hits the three, breaks the record. The Golden State Warriors immediately foul intentionally, call a timeout so that way he can get his roses. It's in Madison Square Garden, which what records don't get broken in New York? Like, that is the place to break records. And I don't want to say that Steph might have wanted it to be there, but it's the place to do it. It's a huge arena. It's iconic, and it's another iconic moment in that arena. Unfortunately, again, for a non-Knick player, but it's an iconic moment, an iconic arena, and you see him just get overly emotional, and then they queued up a commercial, right? After the timeout, they have a commercial queued up showing Steph Curry as a kid, showing him with his dad, showing him taking jump shots outside in the backyard, showing him as a middle school kid, as a high school kid, showing him at Davidson, where he went to college, showing him in his early years, showing his first 3-pointer ever made in the NBA. Like, you can see the process, and you see the grind and the dedication to be the best. That's the one thing with Steph, man. He has always had that dedication to be the best version of himself. So kudos to Steph Curry, man. Iconic player, revolutionary player. He revolutionized the game. Teams shoot 3-pointers at such a higher clip now. Kids shoot so many more 3-pointers. He changed the way the game is played forever, and not a lot of players have been able to do that. Even the Jordans of the world, even LeBron James, not very revolutionary in terms of how the game is played, right? In Jordan's case and LeBron's case, it's like you can idolize them, right? You can steal their moves and you can try to be like them. But at the end of the day, if you're not 6'6", can move and fly through the air like Jordan could, if you're not 6'8", 260 and are just an athletic freak of nature the way LeBron James is, there's not much you can do with that. Those guys change the game in terms of the ability of an athlete, what one player can do, how one person can dominate. That's how they change the way we view the game, the expectations of those guys. But Steph is in the very rare instance of guys that change the game the way it's played, right? Change rules, change stats, change what teams want to do and what players are capable of doing or want to do. He changed that. Shaq is one of them. Steph Curry's one of them. Revolutionary of the game, man. So again, shout out Steph. What a great player. What a great guy. What a great human. See the moments with his mom. You see the moments, I'm sure, his wife and his kids. He's going to enjoy this forever. It's going to be a record that is going to be very difficult to break, man, because he still has so many years left. Like, what is he going to finish with? I don't see him retiring in 1, 2, 3 years. Maybe he has 5 years left. How many more threes is Steph Curry going to hit in the next 5 years? How much further is he going to push that all-time record? So again, man, shout out Steph Curry. Way to do your thing, young man. And then going to a not-so-good publicity is Urban Meyer. And he's just a bit of a jackass, ain't he? Like, Urban Meyer is just kind of a jackass at this point. I think people are starting to realize, and people are starting to see the true colors of Urban Meyer and starting to really come to the conclusion that the dude's kind of a dipshit. Like, he's kind of a jerk. You know, he is who he is. When they had the whole situation at the bar, you know, hugging up on the girl and doing all that in a situation where the team was supposed to fly back to Jacksonville. The whole team flies back to Jacksonville. You end up staying in Cincinnati by yourself. The whole team takes off without you. You're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay here and have some fun. You go out, and then you get caught up, you know, fooling around behind your wife's back, get caught in 4K. It's like, come on, man. But you move on. People moved on from that situation. They continue to, you know, do what they can do. You know, they don't really, I didn't see people really going at Urban Meyer. It was one of those situations where, like, it's tough, but at the same time, it's not as tough as you can, like, people are forgiven. People are very forgiving, and they did that. They forgave him rather quickly, to be honest. And it seemed like, all right, you know, he can get it back. Then they get their first win. And it's like, all right, cool. Winning cures all. If you can just win some games, if you just go out there and win some ball games, it'll cure everything for you. So they get the win. Then it's like, all right, here we go. And then they start losing again, right? They get one win and immediately get brought back to reality. They're terrible again. And then you hear the news and the rumor that Urban Meyer is out here questioning coaches. That he's asking them, what have you ever done? What makes you a winner? What do you know about winning? I know about winning. I'm a champion. I've won championships in college. What have you ever won? If that's happening in the coaching staff, then he gets into it with Marvin Jones, who's a veteran wide receiver, a captain of the team. They get into a heated argument because he doesn't like the way Urban Meyer's talking to the receivers coach. He doesn't like the way he's handling business and the unprofessionalism of Urban Meyer. So he goes at Urban Meyer, a guy that you've never heard. This guy has been in the league. This guy played with the Lions. You're telling me a dude that played with the Detroit Lions and that dysfunctional team never blew up once, never had an incident, but now here in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer, he blows up and has an incident with him? And then if matters couldn't get any worse, they go out, get absolutely dominated by the Tennessee Titans, get blown out, shut out in that game. He comes out and says that maybe somebody's leaking game plans. That the coaches or somebody's trying to work against him. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe somebody's working against me. Somebody's setting me up for failure. Blaming if that person, you know, what does he say? He said something around the lines of if there's somebody leaking information or leaking stuff, they're gone immediately. Maybe you just suck, Urban Meyer. Maybe you just can't do it at this level. Maybe the mindset you've had and the way you've done it in college doesn't work when it's grown men that get paid millions of dollars and have options to go somewhere else. It leads me to believe whether Urban Meyer could do it in college anymore with the transfer portal. You see kids now, if they don't like their situation, they're out. Urban Meyer's never had to deal with that. Urban Meyer had the luxury of bringing a kid in, and whether you like Urban Meyer or not, he controls your destiny. He owns your future. You have to do as he says. He could be however he wants to be as a coach. As long as he gets results, no one's going to question him, and you can't do anything about it. If you were to go back in college right now, it doesn't work that way anymore. You treat a kid the way he doesn't want to be treated. You talk to him a certain way. He feels disrespected. He can just enter the transfer portal and dip out on you. And then again, if that isn't bad enough, now you have Josh Lambo, former kicker of the Jacksonville Jaguars, come out in a ridiculous statement. Let me read to you what this happened, okay? Josh Lambo was off to a slow start, blah, 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 blah. Lambo was approached by head coach Urban Meyer, who doesn't call Jaguars specialists by their names. This is Josh Lambo. He said, Urban Meyer, it was kicker, punter, long snapper, or shitbag, dipshit, or whatever the hell it was. Meaning Urban Meyer doesn't call special teams players by their names. If you're the kicker, he calls you kicker. If you're the punter, he calls you punter. If you're a long snapper, he calls you long snapper. And if he doesn't call you those, he's calling you shitbag or dipshit. The names didn't bother Lambo, but what the former Florida Gators coach did next, Lambo said, were the actions of a mean-spirited bully. I'm in a lunge position, left leg forward, right leg back, Lambo said. Urban Meyer, while I'm in that stretch position, comes up to me and says, "Hey, dipshit, make your fucking kicks," and kicks me in the leg. It certainly wasn't as hard as he could have done it, but it certainly wasn't a love tap. This is still from Josh Lambo. Truthfully, I'd registered it as a 5 out of 10, which in the workplace, I don't care if it's football or not, the boss can't strike an employee, and for a second, I couldn't believe it actually happened. Pardon my vulgarity, I said, "Don't you ever fucking kick me again." And his response was, "I'm the head ball coach, I'll kick you whenever the fuck I want." Now, of course, Urban Meyer came out and said that's completely false, that it wasn't spirited that way. You know, he said that wasn't how it was taken, that wasn't how he recalled it, that it was kind of a goofing around and a good time that he was just kind of joshing with him. No pun intended. But it seems like people just don't like this dude, man. And the more and more stories you hear, it's like, I mean, how can you? Do you blame them? Do you blame them for not liking him? So I don't know what happens with Urban Meyer. The owner has already said that he's, sticking behind him. He doesn't plan on firing him anytime soon. We'll see what happens at the end of the season, but there's a lot of money owed to Urban Meyer if they fire him. They have to be, there's definitely going to be a situation where they can fire him without having to pay him that guaranteed money. If they fire him for like reasonable cause, if he does something that's detrimental to the team, if there's an instance like this where he can get fired based off of kicking players and doing things of that nature, they can get out of paying him. I'm not saying that there's works with Josh Lambo to help them get out of paying Urban Meyer that money, but it's going to be hard to see Urban Meyer staying there. And if he does, what the hell do you do? Trevor Lawrence has not been good in this system. He has not looked good. When you see Trevor Lawrence, you can still see the capabilities of this kid. You can still see the arm strength, the accuracy, the ability to move, the ability to extend plays. You see he has all the tools in the tool shed. Part of it is he's just set up for failure. It's a rough first year for him. And if you have veterans that you brought in and they don't want to be here, and even Trevor Lawrence said, "Hey man, they benched James Robinson in one particular moment towards the end of a game, and he was like, man, when we're at the end of a game, we need our best players in there." Disagreeing with the fact that they pulled him out of the game, saying, "Hey, I needed him in there. I need the best players on the field." It's Urban Meyer's way or the highway. So what does that do for your team moving forward? How does that give you guys confidence to come into another training camp? I got to do another training camp with this dude? Veterans on that team are going to be out quickly. You're going to see guys, if he doesn't get fired at the end of the season, I'm telling you, the veterans on that team are going to go into upper management and say, "Hey, if he's staying, go ahead and trade me. Go ahead and cut me. Whatever you want to do, but I'm not playing." That's what's going to end up happening. So if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, I don't know how you feel. It's hard for me to imagine that many Jacksonville Jaguars fans are happy with Urban Meyer and want to see him ride it out. I'm pretty sure they're all pretty much out on him. Speaking of fans, I do remember a large portion of Dallas Cowboy fans being very unhappy with the hiring of Mike McCarthy, saying we could have gotten Urban Meyer. This the guy you wanted. Imagine if Urban Meyer was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This is the guy you wanted. He's the head coach of the damn Jacksonville Jaguars with a rookie quarterback and a lot of dudes that we don't really know the names of. And he's getting these type of headlines. Imagine if he was head coaching Dak Prescott under Jerry Jones with Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper and all these names and all these people that sell jerseys. Imagine if he was a head coach there. Imagine the rifts he would have gotten into with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn would have punched him in the mouth already. So I don't want to hear it, man. I'm happy we got Mike McCarthy. Urban Meyer needs to be out of the league, in my opinion. He's unprofessional at the end of the day. I don't care if he's a good coach. I don't care if his team. Listen, if he finishes the season without many wins, I didn't have any expectations for him. When he took over the job and they had the number one pick and I knew they were going to get Trevor Lawrence, I said 4 wins max. 4 or 5 wins, it's going to take some time. So it's not the results on the field. It's what's happening off the field. You can't have a shitty team and have distractions. And your distractions can't come from your damn head coach. He's got to go. whether he goes back to college or whatever the hell he wants to do. I don't know if College Game Day is going to pick him back up. I don't know where Urban Meyer goes from here. I think his name's big enough, and he's definitely set financially. He doesn't need a coach. He doesn't need money. But the NFL is just not a place for him. Maybe he takes the Pete Carroll route. Maybe he goes back to college, finds a way to win again, and then goes back to the NFL in a better situation and changes his style up a little bit, realizes the mistakes he made the first time. But if he goes this way, it is going to be, in my opinion, it should be impossible for him to ever get back into the NFL as a head coach, right? If he wants to get back in as some coordinator or something like that and try to work his way back up to it, but his name is getting dragged through the mud right now. So it's tough to see, man. Tough to see. And some good games over the weekend. First and foremost, how can I not start with my Dallas Cowboys? We saw Washington, 4-game win streak. You know, after they won 3 in a row, they were already outside just chanting, "We want Dallas, we want Dallas." And then they laid an egg. This is my gripe, right? This is my issue with what happened on Sunday. I've always been the biggest Dak Prescott, defender. I've always defended him. I've always, I've never been too high, never been too low on Dak. I've always kind of seen Dak for what he is. And I've always been in defense of him. Whenever I hear people try to drag his name through the mud, whenever I hear people try to say that, we'll never win as long as we have Dak Prescott, it's like, all right, calm down. The issue is he had a terrible game. He played like shit. That's just, it is what it is. You could defend somebody and still be critical of them. He played terrible. He almost blew the game for us. That was the first time in a long time I've seen Dak almost cost us a game, right? I've seen him in situations not be able to overcome things, not be able to do enough to win a game, but I've never seen him cost us a game. Where like all you have to do is take care of the ball. All you have to do is just not be terrible, and we'll easily win this. And he is close to fucking it up. This close. So it's an issue I had with Dak for sure. It was a terrible game for sure. But my issue is this. If you didn't watch the game and you just listen to the media, if you just look at social media, you would assume that Dak Prescott was the worst quarterback on the field. He wasn't. He was not the worst quarterback on the field by a long shot. There's another quarterback who had 2 turnovers. Could have had 5 if Anthony Brown or Micah Parsons or Jaron Kearse, if any of them would have caught any of their interception opportunities. He threw a pick, fumbled that led to a touchdown, completed 2 passes by halftime. Was Taylor Heineke. 2 completions by halftime. But yet we want to make it seem as though Dak was the worst quarterback on the field. I haven't seen Heineke talked about once. Turn on ESPN. Turn on ESPN2. Turn on NFL Network. Turn on anything you want to turn on. Tell me when you see Heineke get talked about. It's all about Dak Prescott in that game. Wild to me. Now, I understand Dak has higher expectations. I understand with the money comes higher expectations. But at the end of the day, this is what I've been wanting. Not a bad game from Dak, obviously. But what I've been wanting for the Cowboys since Dak was a rookie in 2016, can we win a game despite Dak? Can we ever win a game if Dak plays terrible? That I haven't seen. And I finally saw it. Holy crap. Dak played so bad, but yet we still won. Because our defense was so damn impressive. Special teams, solid. Everything was great. Except for Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was the only thing that wasn't great. And the offensive line. The offensive line, again, not great. Continue to have some issues. Tyron Smith now out. We're going to continue to have issues there. But for the most part, all the other pieces were great except for Dak in the passing game. Big questions for Kellen Moore as well. Kellen Moore, I ain't leaving you off the hook, man. Big time problems. Big time problems. So the question is, what's wrong with Dak? I mean, he's had a couple bad games. Dak is who Dak is. The problem is that we don't want to just, the fan base, the Dallas Cowboy fan base and the media especially, the ones that get paid to talk about the Cowboys, the ones who have it in their script. ESPN has to talk. The producers are like, hey, we have to spend X amount of time on the Dallas Cowboys every single day. And because of that, Dak can't be who he is. He's either a top 5, top 3 elite guy, which he's not, or he's not good enough to ever win in the playoffs and not good enough to beat good teams, and he'll never have a chance to get to a Super Bowl because he's so bad, which he's not. You don't remember Eli Manning? Tell me this. Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger both have more Super Bowls combined than Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning. You don't have to have the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, because that's what makes people sound like, right? When they say, oh, Dak isn't good enough to ever win a Super Bowl. Okay, let's go through any fan base and see what quarterback they say that about. Obviously, Tom Brady. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. The Packers still feel that way about Aaron Rodgers, even though some people say Aaron Rodgers loses in NFC championships, can't get it done, can't win the big one. But for the most part, the fan base of Green Bay still feels confident in Aaron Rodgers, as they should. Outside of that, who? Lamar Jackson? You think Buffalo Bills feel good about Josh Allen right now? Kirk Cousins? Jimmy Garoppolo? Kyler Murray? You saw what Kyler Murray did. 3 interceptions against the Rams. Matthew Stafford had 3 terrible games in a row before Monday night. Terrible games. There's only 3-4 quarterbacks in the entire league that fan bases feel confident in. Everybody else, you have a worry, and that's what the NFL is. It's freaking hard. You don't see perfect passes every play. You see bad turnovers, bad decisions, bad games. You see it. But the fact is, Dak is who Dak is. What Dak is somewhere around 10. He's somewhere around the 10th best quarterback in the league. You're always going to find 3 to 5 guys who are better than him. Those guys that I mentioned. You're always going to find that. Dak is a 4th round draft pick for a reason. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Tom Brady. Nobody's Tom Brady. But he is who he is, right? He's around 10. The problem is that he goes on a streak of 3-4 games where he's playing like the best quarterback in the league. He's playing like a top 3 quarterback in the league. So half the fan base jumps on that board and says, oh, he's an elite quarterback. He's top 3, top 5. Well, it depends what you call elite, right? What do you consider elite? Because really, like I said, if elite is you do not worry or question them at all, there's really only 3 guys. That's it. This year, there's been only 3 guys that you feel that way about. So if that's elite, which people allude to because his stats show, especially during that stretch of time, his stats were saying that he's the best guy. Passing yards, touchdowns, all QBR, he's the best guy. Completion percentage, he's the best guy in the league. Top 3 at least in most categories. So then half the fan base goes, he's elite, he's a top 3 quarterback. And the other fan base that knows he's not a top 3 quarterback pushes so far back. It's almost political at this point, right? It's almost like, the Republican and the Democratic Party, where it's like you just have to push so hard against each other that you can't just see things for what they really are. Like, that's how it is when it comes to Dak. Because then he goes on a stretch of 3 bad games, and it's like, we can't win with him. We literally can't win with him. We're winning with him. What do you mean we can't win? We're 9-4. That means we're winning with him. I don't get it. What's the option? If we can't win with Dak Prescott, what's the alternative? Do you think that if we cut Dak, there's some thing that forces the Chiefs to give us Patrick Mahomes? I would do that. You think if we trade Dak, we automatically get Aaron Rodgers? I would do that too. No, the truth is, without Dak, we don't get some other great quarterback. Without Dak, we end up with Cooper Rush. We end up picking up Cam Newton and then benching him midseason, the way the Panthers have been able to do. So what's the alternative? At the end of the day, there's a lot worse quarterbacks all time that have gone to Super Bowls. Rex Grossman made it to a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger has multiple Super Bowl victories. Eli Manning has multiple Super Bowl victories. Eli Manning throughout his career was always doubted in the regular season. Always doubted. It wasn't until he won a Super Bowl that then people said, hey man, it doesn't matter how Eli plays in the regular season. If he makes it to the playoffs, watch out. I don't know what it is, but if he gets to the playoffs, watch out. And Dak has never had a bad playoff game. Dak hasn't had a playoff game where you go, man, if he was just a little bit better, we would have won that game. His rookie year goes toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, outplays Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got the ball last, and terrible coverage. We allow a deep sideline pass to set up a game-winning field goal, but Dak played incredibly well. Dak against the Seahawks, this playoff game that he won, incredible performance by Dak. Remember, he takes off, dives over two dudes, gets his legs clipped, front flips over for a touchdown. Incredible performance. Against the Rams, he played great. He kept us in it. That Rams game, all we kept saying was if we can just stop them from running the ball down our damn throats, if we can just stop them one time and give Dak a chance to get the ball back to take the lead, we can do it. They ran for damn near 300 yards on us. So we haven't seen Dak play a bad playoff game. My point is, can we just look at the team, understand that Dak is not elite. He's not top 3, top 5. He's somewhere around the 10. He's somewhere around the Derek Carr-ish range. Maybe a little bit better than Kirk and these guys. But not as good as Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Not as good as those guys. But he doesn't need to be if our defense continues to improve. If we get 5 sacks like we did against Washington. 5 sacks with a healthy defensive line for the first time all year. It can happen. We can go. We can go. Because I still have faith that Dak's going to be good enough. And there's been nothing in his playoff performances to tell me that if he's in the playoffs, he's going to be so poor that we won't get a chance to win. He hasn't given me that worry because the 3 playoff games that we've seen him in, he's been pretty damn solid, if not great. And speaking of teams that are starting to look like themselves, speaking of teams that are kind of in that same situation as Dallas was, right? Where even though they were winning, people weren't happy. Even though they were on a win streak, people were unhappy, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Because they want them to win a certain way. When you have certain expectations, people aren't happy with you winning. They want you to win the way they want you to win. They want you to win the way they envisioned you winning, which is ridiculous. It's hard to win in the NFL. It's very difficult to win in the NFL. So with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes not living up to expectations, they're not putting up 30-something, 40-something points on people a game. People were worried. People were concerned. But throughout that time, they weren't paying attention that the defense just kept getting better and better and better and better every week. And that team, all of a sudden, a team where you said, man, maybe our biggest opportunity, right? Our biggest struggle is our defense. And as good as our offense is, will our defense be championship worthy? All of a sudden, the defense starts picking it up. All of a sudden, the defense starts winning them games. The defense is what's keeping them in games. The defense is what's altering the way these teams win. Even against Dallas, the defense won that game. So you look at it and it's like, well, you're not happy. You're not happy because we want to see Patrick Mahomes and these boys score 40. You're happier with a 40-30 win than you are with a 17-7 win. Just because your team takes a different shape, winning is winning, man, and winning is hard to do in the NFL. Then all of a sudden you see one game where the defense continues to be what the defense was last week and the week before, and they continue to get better and better every week. They continue to stay on the same, trajectory of improvement. And the offense takes one game where they look like their old self, and look at what happened. Demolished the Raiders. That's what I'm saying. That's what they did. They just actually had that game, right? Yes, I agree. Dallas needs to have that game. Dak needs to have that game. That offense needs to have that game. But if it happens against New York, if it happens this upcoming Sunday against the Giants, if they go out there and put up 30-something points and get a big win, and the defense looks just as good as they did against Washington, then everything changes again because it's week to week. So fickle. It's always overreactions. But you see the Kansas City Chiefs, and here we go, man. Now all of a sudden you tell me that we have a Kansas City Chiefs offense that finally had their biggest game, their best performance of the year, mixed in with the fact that their defense has been improving week after week, and they look like a championship defense all of a sudden. Now that's a team to worry about. Now all of a sudden I was sitting here thinking in the AFC like, damn, man, I can't, with the injuries to Tennessee and everything else that's going on in the AFC, right? We don't know who the hell's going to win the AFC North. We don't know who's even good enough to come out of that situation. We didn't really know if there's going to be anybody, right? Buffalo continues to lose games. They haven't beaten a good team in a while. So we started looking at it saying, man, are the Patriots the front runners? Even I said the Patriots should be favored to win the AFC. It's hard to trust a rookie like that, but damn, it's almost by default. But here come the Chiefs now. Chiefs trying to put it together. The Chiefs are now on a winning streak. The Chiefs finally had their offense show up, but more importantly, their defense has been showing up. That's how they've been on this win streak, was from the defense. So now when I look at the Patriots, I go, man, if Mac Jones can't have easy looks, if Mac Jones can't get easy plays, they force him to get into a battle, and they can score with Patrick Mahomes. They can still score at any moment. They still have that capability, that firepower. Now we got ourselves two front runners. Right now, we got ourselves two guys, two legit teams where I don't know which one of them is going to make it to the Super Bowl. Anything can still happen with good teams like the Colts. I'm not discrediting the Colts or the Bills or these other teams because they've proven that they can beat those good teams or at least hang in. And any given Sunday, man, as long as you're in it, as long as you're in the playoffs, any given Sunday, anything can happen. But the Chiefs, I think, are starting to become that favorite again in the AFC, especially if they can finish out this season strong, if their defense continues to play the way they are, and the offense starts showing signs of the old. They don't have to be as explosive, again, because the defense is playing so well. But if they could just show signs, those glimpses of greatness, if they can show that at any moment they could put together a 90-something yard drive, at any moment they could get those big, explosive 20, 30, 40, 50-yard plays, that's a team that you really have to look out for. And the NFC, I mean, the Packers still, Green Bay. Here's what's crazy about Green Bay. They're playing against a divisional team, right? They're playing against the Bears. And I'm watching the game, and things are just going horribly wrong for Green Bay. All of a sudden, Justin Fields and this offense are going off, scoring points. Green Bay's defense has been solid, and all of a sudden, the Bears are scoring on them. The Packers special teams is probably the worst special teams I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Packers special teams, man. They can't snap the ball right. Their long snapper can't get a good snap. Their holder can't get a good hold. And even when they do, sometimes Crosby still misses field goals. Their punter has a damn leg on him, but you see guys stacked up behind each other on punt coverage. They can't cover a punt to save their life, can't cover a kick to save their life. I don't know what the hell's going on. Long kick returns, long punt returns, big explosive plays on offense. It looks like it is all going to hell for the Green Bay Packers in the first half of that game against the Bears. Everything that could have possibly gone right for the Bears, it was going right for them. But yet, for some reason, I was like, Packers still going to win this game by 10. I kept saying the Packers are going to win this by 10. Even when they were down in that game, I was like, there's just no worry to me. Because when you see them, how balanced they can be on offense, and you know defensively they're going to get sacks, they're going to get a big play, they're going to get stops eventually. You know this. Russell Douglas with a pick six, right? They start getting to Justin Fields. Kenny Clark starts getting home. All these boys start getting home. You know their defense is going to step up eventually, but offensively, it doesn't matter, man. They just keep you so balanced. They keep you guessing. They keep you honest all the time. The way they're able to run Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, the way Aaron Jones is able to come out of the backfield, they can power run inside, take things outside. The screen game works. They block well on the outside. The receivers block well on the outside. MVS is a really good blocker. Alan Lazard, they all committed. And then Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers' connection it's unlike anybody in the league. Yeah, I know Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have a really good connection, but man, it ain't like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. I'm telling you that right now. When you see the connection that those guys are on, it is insane to watch. So even through all that, I'm like, the Packers offense is just so damn balanced and explosive. The fact that it's one thing to try to be balanced. It's another thing to just naturally be balanced and be explosive in each area, right? A lot of teams, they run the ball to keep them honest. They run the ball to set up play action and do what they want to do in the passing game. But usually you get explosive plays one way or the other. It's very rare that you're going to get a consistent explosion out of both areas. Aaron Jones can explode for runs. A.J. Dillon could run through your defense. And at the same time, if they need to, Aaron Rodgers can just pick your team apart. Devontae Adams can just go on 4 or 5 straight catches in a row. It's wild. So that's, to me, the Packers are still the strongest team in the NFC for that reason. Everything's going wrong for them. And you still lose zero confidence that they're going to not only win the game, but win big. And they do. They ended up just blowing it out of the gates. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and they ended up still getting a double-digit win over the Bears, even though things were going perfect for the Bears in the first half. Matt Nagy saying, I'm happy. I'm just extremely happy. Coach, what are your thoughts on the first half? I'm just really happy. I'm just having fun. It's fun. I'm having fun out here, man. We're playing great. I'm having fun. Well, shit. Aaron Rodgers takes fun away pretty quickly if you're the opposing team. And to stay in the NFC, man, look what happened with the Rams and the Cardinals. I told you guys. By the way, my picks from last week, I'll do it every Friday, right? This Friday, I'll give you guys 5 more games. But last Friday, I'm just going to go ahead and flex a little bit. 5 for 5. I hit all 5. Predicted the winners. They all covered the spread as well. I was on fire, man. I was on fire last week. Hopefully, I can give you guys another good picks. If you like to bet, I'm telling you, just watch my patterns. Just watch the picks I make. But I told you guys the Rams were going to go into Arizona and beat them. I said the Rams are going to win this game. There's just something about Arizona where I don't know, man. They're good. They're good for sure. But it's just, those divisional games, and I feel like the Rams are coming around, and it's going to take Von Miller some time to get acquainted and really start feeling a good chemistry with Aaron Donald and the boys. It's going to take Odell to work a little bit of chemistry with Matthew Stafford. It's going to take Matthew Stafford a little bit of time, and people were out on Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's going through the exact same thing that Dak Prescott was going through. I was seeing memes and stuff talking about, man, we traded Goff. I'd rather keep those first-round draft picks and run with Goff. Matt Stafford ain't much better. Come on, man. Because he had 3 tough games. He was an MVP candidate, right? People legitimately thought he was about to be the MVP of the league just 3 weeks before that. It's just so fickle, man. At the end of the day, Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. He's really good. He's really solid. Is he going to have bad games? Absolutely. Especially when you add in a new wide receiver like Odell. When Robert Woods gets hurt. When your backfield has always been a different guy each week. It's going to be a little bit different for sure. But you see him and you see what he does, and it's like, that's why I felt confident. The week before, I saw him put a really good game. I saw him play great. I saw Odell score. I was like, all right, here we go. So coming into the Cardinals, I just felt something. I just felt like Von Miller, Aaron Donald were going to get home, and I felt like Stafford was going to have a good enough game. And lo and behold, they did. It's just one of those situations, man. Like I said, all you want to do is get to the playoffs. All this, I don't care how good your team looks when you play against divisional teams, when you play against teams with a winning record. Anytime you play against a team with a winning record, that means they're a pretty good team. It's hard to win more than you lose in the NFL. There's 22 dudes that got to do a part. There's moving parts all over the field that are accredited to your win or your loss. 22 moving parts. So the Rams beat the Cardinals. What does that say now? Are people down on the Cardinals? Are people out on Kyler Murray? Are people out on Cliff Kingsbury? I don't know. I'm not. I still think it's a really good team, but I think the Cardinals are just, if the Cardinals and the Rams play against each other, man, I have to give the edge to the Rams for some reason. I just trust Stafford. I trust McVay more than I trust Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. I trust Von Miller and Aaron Donald more than I trust that Cardinals defense. And this is without Jalen Ramsey. Throw Jalen Ramsey into the mix too. I mean, that only makes it harder to score on them. The Rams, to me, are still a tough team, man. There's no reason why people should be out on the Rams. There's no reason why anybody should be out on anybody that has a winning record going into the playoffs. Can't be out on them. Moving back to the AFC, you see Lamar. Poor Lamar, man. Poor Ravens. It's a tough look. Lamar Jackson gets an ankle injury. Haven't seen an update on him yet. Whether he's good to go or not next week, whether he's going to play. So I'll check back Friday. We do NFL update on Friday. So come back for that NFL update to see where Lamar Jackson is and if he's going to play or not. But it leaves serious doubt if you're a Ravens fan. The Ravens haven't been playing great football with Lamar. Without him, I know backup comes in, has a good, decent game and makes it interesting and all that good stuff. But you need Lamar, man. You need Lamar. Eventually, every backup could come in and have a good game. Might even have a good 2 games. But once you put together 3, 4, 5 games of film on somebody, it changes. Cooper Rush beat the Vikings in Minnesota. You think Cooper Rush would be 9-4 with the Dallas Cowboys if he was a starter? Ain't gonna happen. You can fool somebody, right? You can throw somebody in. You don't really know what to expect from that guy. You don't really know what they're gonna do, and all of a sudden they kind of catch you off guard. They're doing things you didn't even know they were capable of doing. There's no game plan for them whatsoever. But once you start putting game plans for somebody, you start realizing, if they want to go far into the playoffs, they need Lamar Jackson. And the question is, can they even go far with Lamar? They just haven't been looking great lately. But again, still a winning team. That defense is still no slouch. They just got a lot of guys out, unfortunately. And if Lamar has another one out, makes it really, really tough. And especially for him, man, you look at him. You look at Derek Carr, you look at Baker Mayfield, who's been dealing with that shoulder injury all year long, and now he gets tested positive for COVID and might have to miss this next game. When you look at those guys, man, they all got contracts coming up. They all got contract extensions coming up, negotiations coming up. I don't know, man. The salary cap is increasing, but that could mean one of two things, right? One, teams are going to be, not as reluctant to pay them. They might go ahead and just chuck up that money, but it could also mean if you're reluctant to pay them, another team has a lot of money to pay them. I'm sure Lamar wants something up around Dak Prescott, maybe even north of Dak Prescott money. Are the Ravens willing to give it to him? And the crazy thing is, if the Ravens aren't, there might be another team out in the league that's willing to give him more, right? Who says the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't like, shit, we'll give you $45 million a year. Come play for us. We'll make it work. Mike Tomlin's like, I'll figure it out with you and Najee Harris. I'll figure it out. Same thing for Baker. You don't want to pay Baker a certain amount? There's another team that might. Derek Carr. Who knows what's going to happen to him? I think this year, last year, right? There was supposed to be this big quarterback carousel, and we really didn't see it. Obviously, Matthew Stafford was the biggest headline going to the Rams, but we didn't really see the quarterback carousel that we were supposed to see. This year could be the year. This year could be the year where we see a lot of quarterbacks, big name, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers. None of those guys' futures are secure. We can see 1, 2, 3 of them going to different teams. I hope they keep Lamar in Baltimore, man. Lamar's just such a tricky guy to deal with. He's so tough to game plan for. Certainly stuff he has to work on, right? But you can make it easier for him. You can go out and get a legit premier wide receiver somewhere. I love Hollywood Brown, but he's explosive for sure. But right, you could have a Tyreek Hill, but you still need a Travis Kelce. You still need another guy to really, like one of those guys that are just a money guy. You just go to him when you need them. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7s, whatever it is, they're just there. Big, strong, physical, sticky hands. Don't drop anything. Route runners. Right? You don't need the speed, explosive guys. You have that already. And then there's some crazy overtime games as well. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, both teams winning in overtime. Buffalo Bills kind of get screwed out, right? Definitely a pass interference in my eyes with Stephon Diggs at the end of that game. But it doesn't get called. It is what it is. Tampa Bay gets the ball back and in typical Tom Brady fashion, throws a strike. And Tampa Bay is a team that they're starting to come together. They're really starting to, man, again, very similar to the Green Bay Packers, right? Defense is still opportunistic. Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea. I talked about Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and Kenny Clark for the Packers. Same thing goes on for the Bucks. Right, between Shaq Barrett, between Vita Vea and these guys, they can still get to the quarterback. They can still make plays in the secondary because of it. They feed off of that defensive line. And then offensively, again, that ability to just stay balanced. The way Leonard Fournette's running the ball right now, golly, man. That when playoff Lenny hits again, Tom Brady doesn't get in his own way. That's why has the most Super Bowl rings, man. That's why he's the GOAT. He doesn't get in his own way. Oh, I can hand the ball off 30 times and win this game? Okay. Here you go, Lenny. Just over and over. Hey, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. All game long. He does not care. He's not that type of guy to care about his stats and what it looks like. He only wants to win. I don't need to throw 300 yards in a playoff game. Shit, I don't need to throw 200. If I can win a playoff game with 150, I'll take it. That's Tom Brady and the way Leonard Fournette's being able to run. With Antonio Brown coming back. Gronk continues to get more healthy. Mike Evans is still doing his thing. They still have Chris Godwin. Like, the weapons on this team, man, especially if they get more healthy, especially if they get Antonio Brown back, that just adds another weapon. Man, you don't worry about his chemistry and what it looks like. Tom Brady don't have those problems. When he comes back, he's going to be on cue, on point with Tom. The big question for Tampa is that defense, that secondary. But as long as they can get to the quarterback, man, it covers up so much. A great defensive line, a great pass rushing defensive line. It's almost like a flex seal, right? Those damn flex seals that cover up the holes, cover up the patches. That's what a great defensive line does to your secondary. If you can get to the quarterback at will, you don't got to cover. You don't got to have great coverage. You play man, you play tight coverage. We know all we got to do is cover for 4 or 5 seconds. Someone's going to get home. And, that goes into, where we're at now. We're getting close. We're getting there. Let's actually take a look at the playoff schedule. Let's take a look here and see where guys are at. We're coming up on week 15 now. Let's look at the standings. Let's look where these dudes are at. We'll start off with the AFC. Obviously, Patriots, Chiefs, I mentioned them already. Both teams 9-4. The Ravens are still on top of the AFC North at 8-5, and then the Titans are on top of the AFC South at 9-4 as well. So 3 teams 9-4 in the AFC. Man, it's just you imagine now late in the game, especially without any other teams really. You got the Chiefs and Chargers game. That's going to be huge. I'll get into the matchups on Friday. That's when I'll make my picks and do all that stuff. So we'll get into Sunday's matchups on Friday. Go over predictions, go over games, the big games in them. But the Chargers have a chance to really make a staple, really make a name, and really put pressure on the Chiefs. But if the Chiefs win, then I think they get to that point where they can kind of secure it. The Bills right now, the way they're playing, they're one game above 500. And the way the Patriots have been playing, man, I feel like the Patriots will go ahead and lock that up. The AFC North is a crapshoot. Who knows? Ravens, Browns, Bengals. If I just have to pick the healthiest team, I guess the Bengals. If Lamar misses games or if he's just not right, and if Baker misses games and the way he's been playing with that shoulder, man, I kind of have my faith kind of lies on the Bengals to win that division. So there's going to be 7 teams, all right? So let's go Titans. Let's say Bengals. Let's say Chiefs. Let's say Patriots, right? Those are 4. So I got 3 more teams to pick from. The Bills, the Chargers, the Browns, the Bengals, the Colts, and the Broncos. All those games, all those teams are 7-6 or better. Man, AFC is getting good. The AFC is getting damn good. The AFC and the NFC are very different from each other, right? The AFC is not as top heavy. The NFC is top heavy. Like the NFC, you can see 3 or 4 teams where it's like, damn, right? The number 1 team in the NFC just lost, but the number 1 team in the NFC is the number 1 team in the NFL, which is the Arizona Cardinals, and they're not even favorite. I think people, have more confidence in Tampa Bay and Green Bay than they do in Arizona, and Arizona has the best record in the NFC, best record in the NFL. So that just shows you how top heavy the NFL and the NFC is, because once you get down to that 6, 7, 8, 9. You start seeing teams where you're like, what? How are you still in the playoff hunt? But very, very top heavy for the NFC. And then it really drops off a cliff. For the AFC, very different, right? The Patriots and Patriots, Chiefs, and Titans all have the same 9-4 record. But none of those teams, especially right now, like the Chiefs are excelling. The Patriots are having good. The Titans, injuries like crazy. The Chiefs, it was the first game where we really see their offense put their foot on the gas and be the offense of old. The Patriots still have a rookie quarterback who, even though he's playing fantastic, Mac Jones, there's nothing negative to say about Mac Jones in his play. But the one thing about Mac Jones is we've never seen him in the playoffs. It's a different story. We saw him in Buffalo, right? Terrible weather in Buffalo. He only threw the ball 3 times. I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot of the questions for Mac Jones is that arm strength, and he doesn't have the arm. Maybe he doesn't have the arm to push through winds and that sleet and that snow, and when it gets real, real cold in New England, which if you're going to be the number 1 seed, man, in the AFC, right, wherever you travel, whether it's Kansas City, all these places you're going to travel, you're going to have to deal with tough weather, especially if if everything has to go through New England, which is what you want. You want that atmosphere. You want to have them travel, but you have a quarterback who's from the South. You have a quarterback who played at Alabama. You have a quarterback who's never played in these kind of conditions. So because of that, we don't know. We just don't. There's not a team in the AFC that we just feel really confident and say, damn, this team's going to be really, really hard to beat in the playoffs. So not as top heavy, but man, when you get to spot 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's like, holy shit, there's still good teams there. Teams above 500. If I had to pick 3, Colts would be 1. Ravens just because they're 8-5. And I guess Chargers. Maybe I go Chargers and Bills over the Ravens because Baltimore, we don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson, if he's going to play or not. But that's even if Baltimore doesn't win the division. Baltimore could win the division, and then you throw in the Bengals and the Browns. The AFC is going to get real interesting, man. We'll go over the matchups. Come Friday, I'll look at those team schedules, and I'll let you guys know. I'll give you guys more of an in-depth pick there. And then the NFC, like I said, Cowboys, Cardinals, Packers, Bucks. Those are the 4 teams that are still in the hunt. Washington, Philly, the Rams, obviously. The Rams are 9-4. I think they're a pretty safe call to go ahead and make a wild card spot if they don't win that division outright, which is going to be tough for them to win it outright. I think the Cardinals have to lose 2 games while the Rams win the remaining of their games. So So they have 4 games left. Yeah, so they would have to go 4-0. The Cardinals would have to lose 2 of their next 4 in order for the Rams to take that division. But even without it, I think the Rams are a pretty damn safe bet. You can lock them in into that 5th seed, into that, the best of the wild card teams. But then after that, like I said, Washington's still in it. Philadelphia's still in it. The Niners are in it at 7-6. The Vikings are still in it at 6-7. The Falcons are still in it at 6-7, and the Saints are still in it at 6-7. So yes, there's still a lot of teams that are in it, mathematically, but they're in it at 6-7. These teams are. There's only 2 teams above 500 in the wild card race: the Rams and the Niners. Rams at 9-4, Niners are 7-6. But all the other teams that I mentioned that are still technically in it are all 1 game back. They're all 6-7. If I had to pick, I would go Rams and Niners. And I'm going to go Vikings, man. I just feel like the Vikings are a better team than those other teams. I feel like Washington and Philly, I feel like Washington still has 2 losses coming up. I still feel like Philly has 2 more losses coming up at least. The Falcons and the Saints, I feel have like 3 more losses coming up for both of those teams. I think when it's all said and done, I've said this 3 weeks ago, and I've stuck with it. I said this early, and I still say it again, man. Rams, Niners, Vikings, those are going to be the wild card teams in the NFC. Again, just not as depth. There's just not so much depth there. There's not so many teams above 500. I think it's really top heavy in the NFC. But those are teams I see finishing there and getting to the playoffs. But it's going to be interesting, man. We'll go over all these games again on Friday. We'll cover most of the games. Might get into a little bit of the fight night talk coming up with Derek Lewis and Dawkins. We'll get into that as well. But I'll be back on Friday. I'll give you guys my picks. But stay safe, man. Love everybody around you. Have a great week. And I'll be back with you on Friday. Peace.
You wanna